Help for Homeschooling High School, presented by Compass Homeschool Enrichment, Oakton, Virginia. Understanding grades and GPAs. In this presentation, we're going to look at two common questions. What grading scale should I use? And how do I calculate a GPA? When it comes to grading scales, you should understand that there is no one standard or correct grading scale. Homeschoolers can select their own scale. You should show the grading scale that you've chosen in the notes section of your transcript. You may want to select a 10-point scale if a student consistently operates in the low range of a letter grade. For example, earning A- and B-. A 10-point scale will be more forgiving and produce a better GPA. Alternatively, if a student consistently earns A's and very high marks, you may want to choose a grading scale where an A begins at 92 or 93. The narrower range is going to appear to be more selective when applying to selective colleges. And keep in mind that some grading scales use pluses and minuses to create some intermediate steps, the difference between a A- and a B+, for example. But GPAs are more difficult to calculate in scales that use pluses and minuses. Now we're going to look at some common grading scales, and there are not really pros and cons that go with each of these. It's personal preference, and you'll have to test them to see which one works best for your family. There is a 10-point grading scale where 90 to 100 is an A, 80 to 89 is a B, etc. And in 2009, a study of transcripts showed that this was the most common, not only in high schools, but is the one used typically in colleges. There is a modified 10-point scale where the A and B have a 10-point range, but you can see that when you get into the C, D, and F range, they're narrower scales with an F beginning at 69 instead of 59. A more competitive scale is one where the A is 92 to 100. And you can see a sample here of a scale that uses pluses and minuses. This one going from an A+, being in the 97 to 100 range, down to an F, 65 and below, with most increments being about 4 points. And for those in Northern Virginia, just as a data point, Fairfax County uses that plus and minus scale, but they do not award A+, and their F begins at 64 and below. Now, what is a grade point average? It is a metric of academic performance on a 4.0 scale where a numerical value is assigned to the letter grade that was earned. Colleges want to see the trend in a student's GPA across the high school years. It tells a college if a student started out struggling in high school and picked themselves up and improved, or if they're slacking off near the end of high school. Therefore, on a transcript, you generally want to show a GPA for each year completed and an overall cumulative GPA for all years of high school. Now, some colleges are going to recalculate your GPA. There are so many differences and such discrepancies in the way that schools award grades and calculate GPAs that many colleges will take your grades and put it into their formula to have some normalized scores to compare all applicants with. Some colleges will only use your academic classes when calculating GPAs. So you should not rely too heavily on things like driver's education, PE, or art to bring up your GPA. They may not be counted by a college. Finally, understand that GPA is an important number. It's a threshold or a qualifier for many scholarships, awards, memberships, and internships. A very good article on calculating GPA is put out by the College Board, the parent organization to AP and SAT. The link to their article is provided here, but a key table from that article is provided on the right. Now you'll see the numerical grade ranges and the letter grades. This particular sample in the table shows a scale with pluses and minuses. If you go all the way to the right, you can see the standard value for each of those grades. the standard value of 4 for an A, 3.7 for an A minus, 3.3 for a B plus, 3 for a B, etc. But the two center columns show higher values for advanced placement and honors classes. This is what's called a weighted GPA system. In a weighted GPA system, a quality point of +1 is added to classes that were taken at the AP, IB, or college-level dual enrollment classes. On the chart, you will see an A worth 5 in advanced placement, a B worth 4. That represents a quality point of 1. In a weighted GPA system, a quality point of +1/2 is added for honors level classes. On the chart, you'll see that's a 4.5A in an honors class, or a 3.5B. Generally, no points are computed for classes that are taken pass-fail. So we're going to run through one calculation of a GPA to make sure this is clear. Essentially, a GPA is calculated by multiplying the credits earned times the corresponding quality points, adding those up, and then dividing by the number of credits attempted. We are going to look at a sample year for a pretend high school student. This student took algebra, earning 1 credit and a grade of A. Here you will see the 1 for 1 credit times 4 for an A equals 4. The student took English for 1 credit, earning a B. That's 1 times 3, 3 being the quality point for a B, equals 3. And the student took history, earning 1 credit for a C. A C is worth 2. 1 credit times 2 quality points equals 2. Now the student took AP biology and earned an A. So that's 1 credit hour times 5. The 5 is an A with that full additional quality point. 1 times 5 is 5. The student took 1 semester, a half a year of acting, and earned a half a credit and a B. So that's a half of a credit, 0.5, times 3, being the quality point for a B, equals 1.5. And the student took a semester of PE and got a D. So a semester is a half a credit times only 1 quality point for a D. Half times 1 is equal to 0.5. Student took driver's ed and passed, but it is not included in the calculation. Now we add these up, and what we get is a total of 16 quality points divided by 5 hours attempted. 16 divided by 5 is 3.2. This student earned a GPA of 3.2. Looking very quickly at the next page, you'll see how the different values for the same classes yield a slightly different GPA when the student earns pluses and minuses. In this scenario, using some pluses and minuses and fractional quality points, the student ends up with a GPA of 3.14. Finally, I wanted to share an online GPA calculator. There are many online GPA calculators that are really not very good and inaccurate. Some do not allow for quality points, and some do not make the distinction between year-long and semester-long classes. The best one that I've seen is gpacalculator.net. It is important to run this calculator in Chrome as it doesn't work well in Explorer. You need to select 1 credit for a full year class. Be cautioned, the table defaults to 2 credits, so you would select 1 for a full year class. The calculator does not have an option for a half credit or a 1 semester class. This is one of the downfalls. But it does have quality point escalators. of +5 for honors and +1 for AP and college level. So you will select A, B, and C if you're using a scale that does not use pluses and minuses. Hopefully, this presentation added to your understanding of grades and GPAs. If you have any questions on these topics, you may certainly contact Compass by phone or email at www.compassclasses.com or email at admin@compassclasses.com.